Now first, before I go any further, let's find out what happens when we lie to integration services. If we give the merge join unsorted data while telling it it's sorted. All right, so I'm going to go up and double click on the product data source. And instead of sorting by product subcategory ID, I'm going to sort by name. So the data is still going to be sorted, but it's not going to be in the same order as the other data flow that the merge join transformation is operating on. Okay, so that's the lie that we're telling it. And specifically, I'm not going to go in and tell it that it's sorted on a different field. I'm going to leave the isSorted property as well as specifying that it's sorted on the product subcategory ID. All right, I'll go ahead and execute the package again. And there we get results. Most important thing to notice here is that we didn't get an error. Okay, package executed to completion. But what's odd here is that if you look at the number of rows that have subcategory fields filled in, we have 2 there, we have another one right there. If we scroll through all the data, we have an awful lot of nulls. There was another one right there, go back up. So that's 4. So as you see, we're well past halfway through, and we've had exactly 4 matches on the join. So we don't have the information that we need. We also didn't get an error message, which is kind of the scariest part. So the bottom line here is that I lied to integration services, and it did the best it could do with the information. It tried to join them together, but it's assuming that it's going to be able to process the data in the same order on our key field, the product subcategory ID. I didn't give it data that it could do that, did the best it could, but I got bad results. So that's what happens when you lie. Sometimes you do get various kinds of errors, so just be aware of that. So let me go back in and put that change back in, or undo that change. So it's product subcategory ID. Okay, so we're no longer lying to integration services. So I'm going to save that just to make absolute sure. Okay. Now I need to flesh out the package to grab the rest of the data and perform 2 more joins. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is delete the union all. By the way, you might be tempted just to delete this connection here and then reuse that union all. It's not like you did a lot of work to configure it. But that won't work because this union all is now configured to get a specific set of data, data schema, in the incoming data flow. If I then add my other joins and then attach to this union all, then I have an error. Now there are ways in integration services that you can get around that, but it's easier just to delete it. So I'll just select it and hit the delete key. All right, I need to add another data source, so I'll add another, come down here to sources, OLEDB source, and I'm going to put it pretty much to the right of that transformation. And as you can see, sometimes it grabs it and puts it in the upper left-hand corner, and sometimes it doesn't. But we can fix that. All right, so this is going to be the category data source, so I'll call it that. And I'll go and configure it. So still AdventureWorks 2012, still going to use a SQL command. I'll go back over to Management Studio and grab that statement. And there you can see we're getting the product category ID. Again, it needs that in order to join with our existing data flow. And then we're going to add the name value there and sorting by product category ID, because this is the key field that I'm going to join the existing data flow on with this new data source. All right, so that finishes that configuration, but I still need to go into the advanced editor, go over here and tell it that the data is sorted, and then go in and say that it is sorted on the product category ID. It's the only item, it's in ascending order, so that's a 1. All right, so that configures that new data source. But now we have a problem. This data source is going to provide data sorted by the product category ID. But remember, this component in Flow is sorted by the product subcategory ID. They're sorted two different ways, not good when you're working with a merge join. So in this case, I have to use a sort transformation on the output from this join, because I have to have it in the same order as this data flow. So I'll come over here to the SSIS toolkit and come up here to sort. I don't know why sometimes when I grab it, it wants to put it in the upper left-hand corner, but anyway. All right, I'm going to need another sort transformation later, so I'm going to call this sort category, because it's going to sort it in the order of the category. And I'll connect that output flow there. And now it has the information on the data flow that's coming into it. Still have more configuration to do because we have to tell it how to sort the data. In this case, I want to pass through all of the data. That just means that all of these fields are going to be part of the sort transformation's output data flow. But then I need to sort it on the product category ID. So I select that, and notice that I get the input column of product category ID, the alias. I can change the alias if I want. Sort order is ascending, and so the sort order right there is 1. All right, so that's all I need to do in order to sort the data. And now this output flow is going to be the same data as coming out of the merge join, but it's going to be sorted so that I can use it with this data flow right here. All right, now I need to add another merge join transformation. Do that, I'll put it right there, kind of a low resolution, so let's move it a little bit. Oops. Now move it down a little bit. I'm just holding down the control key and hitting the down arrow just to make the data flow look a little bit more organized. And then the first thing I need to do is take the output from the sort transformation right there. And once again, I need to select whether this is the left or the right input. It's again going to be the left input. And click on OK. And then I'll take the output from the category data source and connect it there. And once again, there's only one other option for whether it's left or right, and so it connects it to the right. And then the other thing I want to do is change the name of this to merge product category. And then I need to configure this. Double click on it, and there we have our tables with the available fields. Okay, change this to left outer join. And then once again, it selected the right category. These are the only two fields that have the same names, so it made the right choice. And then I need to specify which fields that I want to include. In this case, I want name, list price, and subcategory. So keep in mind that at this point, these are the fields that came from the product table, and this is the field that came from the product subcategory table. Okay, so we're gradually building up the data flow as we go. Now, I no longer need the product category because I don't need to join on that anymore, but I still need the product model ID. All right, so those are all the things that we need from the sort category, which is that existing data flow that we had previously created. And then, once again, I don't need the product category ID, but I do need the name. Now here shows you where we have a problem. At this point, if I just added name and named it name, we would have two fields with the same name. Can't do it. So I'm going to change this name to category. All right, now it's good. Now we have 5 fields with unique names. All right, so the merge join is configured, so I'll click on OK. And now it's time to add the final data source. So I'll come back over here go down to my sources, create an OLEDB data source. I'll put it to the right there. Since I'm having trouble with my mouse these days, I'll use the control keys to move it over a little bit. And I'll call this one the product model data source. Because, of course, it's going to grab product model information. Double click on it, use that, use a SQL command again, and come back over here and copy in this select statement. Same pattern, pretty much doing all the same stuff. The fourth time we're doing it, it's grabbing the product model ID and name, and it's sorting by the product model ID. Okay, go to the advanced editor, tell it that it's sorted, and it is sorted on product model ID. Set that to 1, and we've configured the data source. All right, once again, we now have data that is sorted in different directions. So I need to use a sort transformation. And I'll take the output there, double click on it, pass through all of the fields, but I'm going to sort it on product model ID in ascending order. And I'll click on OK, and now the data is going to be sorted in the correct order. Now I can add another merge join transformation. Oops. I'll place that right there. And I'll connect these data flows, kind of recurring theme. This is going to be the left input. Connect this one. And then also change this, the name, to merge product model. And then need to configure that. So the join type, once again, is left outer join. Now, I want to emphasize all of these merge joins happen to be left outer joins. It's the way I wrote the SQL statement, but you can mix and match joins. So it's no problem. If I needed to use an inner join here, no problem at all. Full outer join, do it. All right, and as you can see, we're 3 for 3. It selected the correct field that I want to join on. And then I need to once again select the fields that I want to include. From sort, I want name, list price, subcategory, and category. I don't need the product model ID anymore, but I also need the name. And once again, we have a conflict with the name. So I'm going to rename that to model and hit enter. Okay, so there's all of our data. We now have a single data flow coming from 4 different sources, and it's been merged 3 times. All right, so now I want to add back a union all so we can see the data. Put it right down there. Take the output right there, and right-click on this to enable the data viewer. All right, I'm ready to execute the package. I'll go ahead, saves it, compiles it, and displays this final set of data. Widen things a bit. So as you can see, we still have some missing data from those 209 rows. Notice that about less than halfway down the list, there's 209 out of 504, I think were the numbers. So then we start having data. All the fields are completely populated. Everything seems consistent. We have full finger gloves, it's clothing. Prices seem, well, probably high, but that's neither here nor there, as they say. As you can see that we have the full set of results. And so we've taken data from 4 different sources, merged it all together, sorted it when we needed to, and we end up with this. And then presumably at this point, we'd either go on, develop more to the package, fill it out, create a destination, put it in a table someplace, whatever it is that we need to do with this data.